Grizzly Fine Cut Natural Sand. Safety first. I highly suggest whenever you're using a cutoff wheel on a grinder or even just grinding that you do use safety glasses or some kind of eye protection, because I'll tell you a story. Whenever I was over the summer, I was cutting plate for the back of my mower, and I got a piece of metal stuck right in my eyeball. 800-degree fucking piece of metal stuck right into my goddamn eyeball. Motherfucker was purple. And I didn't know it was in there at first, right? I felt it hit my eye, and it burnt for a second, and I was like, oh, it's okay. I didn't know it was stuck in my eyeball. And whenever I went inside and slept, and whenever I woke up the next morning, my eye was hurting, and I got ready for work, and Mom was taking me to work, and I was like, Mom, you're going to have to take me to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room, and they said that I didn't have a piece of metal in my eyeball, and they said that there used to be a piece of metal in my eyeball, but it had came out. And they cleaned out my eyeball, and that shit, whenever they put it in a bottle, right? And they wrap a towel around the back of your neck, and they use a squirt bottle, and they just squirt that crap in your eyeball, and it feels like your eyeballs are getting pressure washed, right? They said they had to clean the rust out of my eyeball because it'd been a day since I had got that piece of metal in my eyeball. But I went ahead and scheduled an eye doctor's appointment, and when I got to the eye doctor said that the emergency room was wrong, and that I had still had a piece of metal in my eyeball. So for a week, I had a piece of metal in my eyeball, having to work with a eye patch on so I didn't get no dirt or anything in my eyeball. And then whenever I was at the eye doctor, he said, well, I'll have to take you back here. I'll shine a light in your eyeball. You'll have to look up towards the ceiling, and I'll have to pull it out. So I did that. He pulled it out of my eyeball, and I don't know if you know, but whenever somebody's poking at your eyeball, you see their finger come at your eyeball, your automatic reflex is to blink. And I'll tell you what, the emergency room only used a spray bottle to get the rust out of my eyeball. But whenever I went to the eye doctor, he had a Dremel, and it had like a little polishing wheel on it. And he literally took it in my eyeball and did this and just cleaned out my eyeball with a freaking polishing wheel, looking like it was on a Dremel. It wasn't a Dremel, obviously, but that's what it looked like. It was the same thing. It was a rotary tool. And he had to put a like just a regular it wasn't prescription or anything. He had to put a contact in my eyeball, and I had to put eye drops in it twice or 3 times a day. And they wasn't numbing eye drops. They burnt like hell. Like, they was disinfectant eye drops. And it was literally the worst experience of my life. It was almost as bad as getting burns in your eyeballs whenever you're welding, and not without a hood, and you sit there and stare at it and get flash burn in your eyeballs. It's almost as bad as that. It ain't quite as bad, but well, that's that. They're honestly about the same. It feels like you have, it's like, you know that real coarse salt that they put on the roads in the wintertime? Well, it feels like you have an eyeball full of that. It feels like it's grainy and just burns like hell, and it's the worst feeling ever. It really is. I'd rather break any bone in my body than have anything to do with my eyeballs go wrong. It is the worst thing ever. So that's why you wear safety glasses. Safety first.
Put a Gatorade on it. For the weekend, big bitch for the weekend. Take y'all to Paraguay or California for the weekend. I'm on sack and juvie, so you gotta bring my drink.